9 podcasts.
T-minus 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Freddie, Russ. Now, I want to talk to you about something that's very serious, actually, up front. Yeah, I'm serious. I'm serious about being serious.
Okay, that's a surprise.
3,500 jobs lost today at the ANZ, plus 1,000 contractors. So this is the beginning for me, right? So let me try this on you. So what happened, and I think in particular in Australia, because we had sort of such a controlled COVID environment, what happened, of course, is the banks realised that they still made money even if no one was working, right? So that's sort of input number one. Input number two is many people work from home, and as a result, you are able to see who's productive and who isn't productive. Or at an emotional level, maybe you can see who's serious and who isn't. But what we also know is that when people log in, what did you tell me? Was it last week that people have got sort of some tools whereby they're able to pretend that they're at work, but they're actually not at work?
Oh well, there are techniques you can do, but most companies will be surveying how many times per minute you're clicking or the number of keystrokes in a day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So the banks, I'm going to pick on the bank, but I'm sure there are plenty of other corporates that have got the same data. So during COVID, you realise actually we are in a situation where we know that we can make money even if everyone that's employed isn't working. And then during the course of the last few years, as we reset with working from home and the ability to see, who's productive and who isn't productive and who's, got, I suppose, let's call it emotional skin in the game, we've got clarity around that. So what are you going to do? If you're a listed entity and you've got to deliver, returns to shareholders, you're just going to get rid of, what is happening here, ANZ, 3,500 people plus 1,000 contractors. Of course, that's what's going to happen. Then overlay that with, okay, so if I need more people in order to, deal with a growth division of the bank, what I'm going to first and foremost going to do is, can my existing people plus AI do what maybe in the past would have required another person or more people? So surely what you're going to do is you're going to cut right back and then see if you can build without employing any more people. Then there's another input in all of this, which is we're currently in the Australian environment, not in a particularly friendly business zeitgeist environment. And that again, what does that say? Well, that says, I'm not that keen on investing here. And, this number one thing, which I think seems to get forgotten all the time, is capital can move very easily. Capital can just go offshore if it wants to. Simple. Labour, it's much harder, right? People are much harder. So if we're going to give corporates a sense that it's tough to invest, if I employ more people, all I'm really doing is employing more problems, right? Because the only problems you really ever have in business life, probably in life generally, are people problems. That's true. So, surprise, surprise. So I think that at an industrial level, at an ASX level, I would imagine expect more of this. And then that, of course, is going to be very, very problematic for the individuals involved. And, of course, Freddie, we feel for the individuals involved. But, of course, if you're a listed entity, if you're in the business of business, you've got to make money.
Yep. I mean, that all tracks. When you're looking at all these inputs, then I guess, Russ, if I give you the keys to the kingdom, what's the first solution out the door once I make you king?
Well, no, you've just got to let it rip. Yeah, I'm afraid you do. Because what's happening, I think this is, look, it's been happening now for a few years, but what is about to happen on a massive scale is the economy is going to have to find a way to reinvent itself. And I think we're at the beginning of that. And why? Well, because of AI, right? That's the reason why. We are in a industrial revolution, and it's going to be no less profound than the creation of the printing press, or that rather wonderful article that was written in the Fin Review by I've got to get his full name, but Con, who has created Ansett.travel, he very cleverly got a hold of the brand, and then with the wonders of AI, he's created a travel website called Ansett.travel. So he's got the brand, which everyone knows, everyone remembers. He's attached .travel to it. He's then built a website using Vibe code. Have you heard about Vibe code?
Yes, of course. Very exciting.
I mean, seriously, right? All right, so just okay, let's use that Constantine example, whereby he's able to get a brand that exists in people's minds and single-handedly recreate the brand with a business. So he hasn't had to employ anyone in order to make that happen. He's then employed his skill, so his personal skill. He's got good branding skills, comm skills, right? Yeah, clever cat. So that maybe is a small example of what you would imagine is going to happen everywhere, in that, an Ansett.travel, if you go back 20 years, Ansett.travel probably would have employed, if it existed, would have employed thousands of people. Now, currently, it's got one, right? So, yeah, it's the beginning of the revolution, or the significant changes that other industrial revolutions have created. It's the beginning. I did like that thought that we had a while ago that the 21st century has just begun, The first 25 years we were pretending. In fact, the first 25 years we were like the previous 50 years. So the notion that the 21st century has just begun, I believe that. I believe that to be true. And, it's our job to be excited about it, Freddie.
I can... I track absolutely what you're saying. Have you seen all the rumours or whispers amongst investors of the potential of there being an AI bubble? Coming off the back, of course, of reports of that we're not seeing the productivity gains that was promised. And when you stack that up against just the insane capital investments that are going into, it's pretty much propping up the US economy investments. Like, that's where all the growth is happening here. And if it can't actually deliver on what's being promised, then I know it sort of puts a pin in the whole the 20th century or the 21st century has started, because, I don't know, what is the timeline when this doesn't work out and we go, okay, we've got nothing. We put a lot of eggs in that basket. Quick, someone come up with an idea.
Yeah, but I'm still a bank, right? I'm still a bank, going back to the, what's going on at ANZ. I'm still a bank, and I still employ people, and I still have funds coming in, and I'm still got a mortgage book, right? So I'm still a bank. Okay, I might have to recreate again. But yeah, so there may well be a bubble in that things have been overpriced, but that doesn't mean that the thing that's created the overpricing, AI, doesn't exist, right? So, we had the tech bubble, of course. The 90s were flying along, and then 99... I think it was 99, there was the tech bubble burst, but that doesn't mean the technology didn't recreate a lot of business, right? So we've been recreating businesses where, in effect, the only interaction that we have now with brands appears to be technical. In a CX sense, right? I suppose I still go and buy my Wheaties, but to use Wheaties again, I still go and buy the goods that I need in order to sustain myself. But beyond that, every other relationship that I have is a digital relationship. So yes, there was a tech bubble and the tech bubble burst, but the technology that created the bubble exists to this day. And now, of course, we're going next level. And I buy it. I genuinely buy that this is the beginning of, the next exciting thing that humans implement for a better life. Jeez, I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so. It's definitely in the sense of medical research. I can see that happening. But something that I keep coming back to is at the end of the day, sure, things, can grow by, creation of weird abstract financial products that, sort of the whole world economy gets powered by. But what the true sort of sustainable power or fuel here is just, like you said, people buying Wheaties. That's sort of what is the core thing. And I wonder, can I consume any more than I currently am? AI might make things more efficient. It might hopefully create drugs that I can last longer. And so then I can buy more stuff, hopefully. But is it going to make me consume more in my day-to-day life?
I think what's interesting is I reckon I'm right saying that luxury goods are really struggling at the moment. And are luxury goods, are they struggling because people are feeling the pinch, or are they just struggling because people have decided they want to buy experiences rather than buy a Louis Vuitton, $25,000 bag? I actually don't know the answer, but I do know that luxury goods aren't going as they have in the past. So the notion of buying experiences, I think that rings a bell with me. I'm sure that that's right. I don't know. The last time I would have purchased something of significant value, goodness me, it'd be a long time ago, where, you go through a period where you just simply have to have that Ralph Lauren jacket, but then, and you stalk it. Have you ever stalked fashion, Freddie?
No, what do you mean by stalking fashion?
Seriously. Oh, yeah, you stalk fashion. A lot of Genevieve knows what I'm talking about, I'm sure. Yeah. So you stalk fashion. So there's something that you see, something that does come to mind is a Ralph Lauren jacket. It was in the Collins Street store, purple label, Freddie. And it was this glorious sort of blue bomber jacket thing. And I would look at it. If I said 2 years, I don't think I'd be exaggerating. And eventually the store, I won, because eventually they took the price down, right? And they got it to the level where I was prepared to pay, right? So it's worth, in this context, stalking was good, right? No other context, it's not good, obviously. But stalking a Ralph Lauren purple label jacket, mate, I feel like a winner to this day, and I purchased it 15 years ago and I still wear it, right? So, and of course, what we do, a bit of girl math, where we, as they say, we divide how many times I've worn it, how many days I've worn it, into what I paid for it, and mate, I'm well ahead.
Oh, you're making money at this point. And think about all the business opportunities that it generated for you, Russ, looking that smart.
Precisely. Exactly. Walking down Collins in my Ralph Lauren bomber jacket, it's just elite. Anyway, goodness me. Now, and the other thing, I wanted to tell you about an amazing story just in today's Fin Review. A woman called Grace Brown. She's a 25-year-old Melburnian, and she has just raised $100 million for her robot company called Andromeda. She's built robots. I think from memory, the name of the robot was Ari, I think. And she's gone out to the money world. She's about to move to San Francisco, and she is building, this isn't a concept to build a robot. She's building robots, right? 25, Grace Brown, Andromeda. So track her, I would suggest, because who knows, we may have a Melburnian robot-making superstar in Grace Brown. We all hope so. We all hope that that's the case. And she may need some branding help because her customer base is the consumer. She wants to build robots that are for the elderly. And as we've discussed before, I can absolutely see in my older years a robot with me with my glasses, my, Pixel glasses, and a Tesla robot. Well, I'm hoping it's not a Tesla robot now. I'm hoping it's an Andromeda robot from Grace Brown. How good's that?
Go Grace. That's amazing.
Right?
How bloody exciting. That's a huge amount of money. Was that AUD? 100 million, was it?
Look at you, Mr. New York guy. Was that third world currency, or are we talking like the greenback?
Yeah, those sort of coupons you guys have over there.
I don't remember. Probably. I don't remember, but there are West Coast US VC funds that have got involved. So, as I say, she's moving to San Francisco. I just think it's hugely exciting. And the other amazingly exciting thing is that you've got Jimmy Fallon. Now, is this real? Jimmy Fallon having a TV show called On Brand?
Yes, I have seen that new product coming out from NBC where... Am I right, Russ, in that it's sort of it's a competition where each week someone has to pitch an idea or execute an idea for a particular brand that comes on?
Yeah, I mean, am I putting my hand up? I need to. I mean, I've discussed this with my CJZ friends, Cordell, Jigsaw, Sapruder, who produce Gruen. I've discussed this very thing with them, right? And we discussed this very idea, although maybe we got it wrong in that the pitch was also going to be around, as in the pitch to the TV station, was around, let's solve the crisis of 30-year-olds, right? So there was a specific brief whereby, you would gather people together in order to find a way to solve that problem. So maybe it was overcomplicated. Maybe it should have just been simply to find talent. Because I think that's what Fallon's about, right? The Fallon show. I think it's called On Brand.
Yep, so they'll be finding talent, and I presume so. I think I saw a trailer where like United Airlines was coming on, and Dunkin' Donuts will come on. So even better as a business model, I presume these brands are paying quite a lot of money to be there as well. So that's, again, where you've missed out with your concept is that people could have been paying you to come and solve their problems.
Freddie, it's never too late, mate.
It's never too late. That's exactly
Stand
right.
Stand by. TV world. The other day on radio, can you believe I confessed that I'd like to be in Dancing with the Stars?
Oh, Russ.
I literally confessed that I would be. Now, if I was confronted with the opportunity to be Jimmy Fallon, on brand TV show or on a shiny floor, my mum would be upset with me if I said that I don't want to do the shiny floor. I'd prefer to be, on brand. I love that idea. We need to be tracking. Can you track that idea for us?
I definitely will. Very interesting to see. And I hope I think net it'd be positive for the industry. There is a part of me that's concerned about, getting people up and, if it's sort of a MasterChef style thing, like you have 1 hour to come up with this genius idea, then that sort of becomes the cadence of all professional sort of, that's what all agencies are expected to do for now and into the future.
That's actually what agencies should do, Freddie, right? So, yeah. I mean, which has always been the issue, right? Being paid according to time, that's a problem because, the older you get, the better you get, the quicker you get, right? And, an old sort of game I used to play in my old ad life was, okay, here's my idea, which will be an idea done within, quick time. Just do better than that. But, and invariably people will do better than that. But you can be pretty fast with ideas. And I don't think we should be scared of being fast with ideas. And interesting, you say, you think it will be positive for the industry. You've reminded me 15, 16 years ago when Gruen came out. Oh, my God, the industry, they're losing their mind. Oh, my God. Here we are. We're desperate to be seen, around the C-suite. We want to be having meetings with the CEO and the chair. We want to be able to present to the board. And along comes this idiot show called Gruen. And all that's going to do is undermine how the industry feels about us, which, thank you for giving me this lead in, which was always nonsense. Utter nonsense. And I'm pleased to report it's proven to be nonsense, because those that have been involved with Gruen, a couple of things have happened to most people involved. They've managed to get in front of the C-suite as a result of being involved in that show. Funny what, the power of TV. It's very interesting. TV changes lives. If you're in MasterChef, you're a very good, home cook. You win MasterChef, all of a sudden you've got a brand new career as a result, through the power of television. Let's not forget about that, yeah? And also, there's been what's called the Gruen effect in the academic world. People wanting to pursue brand, media, marketing, advertising as an industry. There was a far greater demand. And as a result, the score you had to get increased. As a result, you had a different caliber of cat coming out. So, I would never have been employed in the advertising world because, in today's world, because I wouldn't be smart enough. Right? So that's how... That's the genuine Gruen effect. So there's a effect off the back of the individuals involved, good things happen to them, and then the industry, good things happen to the industry. And the very idea that there's, we can't reveal secrets. I mean, honestly, I've never heard such nonsense in my whole life. So go on brand, Jimmy Fallon. I'm doing way too much talking, Freddie. You, go.
Well, I've got a few things that I wanted to speak to you about today, Russ. I want to hit you up about Nike has a new campaign where they're sort of, messing with their tagline for a new generation. There's also a new drug in town in the US that's gaining popularity that I'd like to talk to you about. But first up, I wanted to ask you, Russ, if you remembered about a year ago on this podcast, I got very excited and told you about I guess, a new video content format called micro dramas. They were already huge.
Oh, yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, already huge in China, and we had a feeling that they were going to break through in the Western market. So
Was it also big in South Korea?
yes, in those sort of markets. Or South Korea, you might be thinking about the webtoons, the comics version. Yes. But as a reminder for our listeners that may have joined us since a year ago, these microdramas, they're hosted on platforms like Douyin and Waishu, which is sort of like, TikTok-style platforms. And the episodes in a microdrama are ultra short, sometimes just a minute long, and they're like vertically presented mini soap operas, and every episode will end with a cliffhanger, so you want to skip along to the next one. And as a user of a platform like Douyin or Waishu, you might get like 5 free episodes of a series before you have to start paying for individual episodes to like continue see the resolve of the cliffhanger.
Great, right? Probably a model perfected by the porn industry.
It's yes, very interesting. I think sort of in China where it got started, of course, we're seeing a lot of periodical dramas and a bit of romance. But the reason I bring it up again to you, Russ, is that courtesy of the Washington Post, we have some numbers as well as an update as to how this content is transforming itself for the Western market. So in China, it's only continued to grow, so much so that the government there has begun easing regulations that it had on long-form drama TV production because too many people are going to go watch this new microdrama stuff, and they're like, okay, any fears we had about, melting brains because of TV, it's way scarier what's happening over here, so let's make some more soap operas for TV. But it's arrived here to the Western Shores. So I would like to show you a clip from my favourite microdrama. It's funny you say porn, because this is my favourite microdrama, How to Tame a Silver Fox, a series that I believe has amassed 356 million views to date.
No way.
Roll the clip, Jen!
You're not going out there dressed like that. It's not safe.
Has it been like this the whole time?
Yeah,
Why didn't you say something?
I just did.
You freaking creep! Give me a jacket or something.
When you're done checking me out, I think your store closes in 2 minutes.
I was not checking you out. That was a yawn.
I'm sure it was, kiddo. It's past your bedtime.
Stop calling me kid.
Right, well, that's just garbage.
For
350 million people.
356 million views, Russ. Analysts think the US market could hit $10 billion by 2027. So it's happening. It's here. It's real. Apps like Real Short, Drama Box, and the investment is really starting to pour into this. Like, the economics is that fans are spending micro amounts of money to continue, but it adds up to something like $20 a week for absurdly melodramatic series like, here's another one, Pregnant by My Ex's Professor Dad. That's another very popular series at the moment.
Okay, so old brands getting involved. So Mills and Boon comes to mind. So Mills and Boon, of course, who, authored just, rom-com, garbage. Bold and the Beautiful, of course. Bold and the Beautiful. I mean, really what we just watched then was a entire 1-hour episode of Bold and the Beautiful in 60 seconds. Because that's basically, yes? So
yes,
why can't,
exactly right.
Right, so why can't old brands, or are old brands, Freddie, are they realising actually what we need to do is we need to franchise the Bold and the Beautiful. Let's use that as an example. We're going to franchise the Bold and the Beautiful into, we've got long form for those that are at home and probably over 55 and they've watched it forever and it's a big part of their life. So we keep that going, but we also have Micro Bold and Beautiful. And you would think that they'd be working on doing something like that.
It's a really interesting question, and I'm skeptical that existing systems would really have it in them to innovate and transform themselves to meet this moment. First of all, like budgets per episode would be something like $2,000 for like what we've just seen versus, the tens of thousands they've invested in studios and they've got a team of writers and whatnot. It's so much cheaper to produce this stuff that it almost feels like a different ballpark entirely. So maybe they could, but it's also a challenge in just how specific these premises are. I've already mentioned, How to Tame a Silver Fox, Pregnant by My Ex's Professor Dad, like I'm a surrogate to a mob king. Like these are
Serious?
These are wildly. This is a weird new world, and I think it would be remiss of us to think that it's Bold and the Beautiful just with a different ratio on screen.
Okay, lovely, right? I'm a surrogate of what was this?
The Mob King.
I'm a surrogate of the Mob King. I mean, you're going to watch it, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really interesting how they've almost, I guess, they've distilled what we need from a sort of a narrative. They've stripped it down to almost the point that it's not even quite narrative driven anymore. It's just beats, glances, and some ridiculous premise, and it can just power it for years, for hundreds of episodes.
So are any brands involved yet that you've noticed? So that beautiful piece of 60-second, in-car entertainment that was going on. So has anyone said, you know what, we need a wide shot first that shows the Hyundai XL, and then we go. So are any brands getting involved? I mean, you sort of don't want brands involved because then immediately it's not going to be quite as attractive, and just use the content to drive viewership, which then drives the opportunity to advertise it, right? But is there any evidence that brands are getting engaged?
Well, you've not quite yet. I think the platform is what you're describing there is like in series product placement advertising, which I don't think there would be anything yet. There's probably a monetization opportunity here for, maybe instead of paying my $20 a week or whatever to watch Pregnant by My Ex's Professor Dad, I'd, might watch an ad every sort of 5 episodes or whatnot. But no, I haven't actually been on the platform, I should confess. So it'd be interesting to see what it is. But I mean, if you owned a platform like Real Short or whatnot, and you're making this much money without ads, do you want to create that sort of freemium model, or do you just want to just leave it as is and rake in the cash?
You probably leave it as is until you can't, and that'll be at some point when then you've got to do like subscription TV is done, whereby you pay less of a sub and you get to see some ads, So there will be, as time goes on, that model, I suppose, is the right word, matures. As it matures, then really the reality, okay, what does that mean? Well, their revenue isn't what it once was, right? And so they realise that what they need to do is use advertising. The audiences will still be significant, and as a result, they're going to do really amazingly well. 356 million people. Now, are they being judicious with when they launch the 60 seconds? So can I watch it at 12 o'clock on a let's say midday? It gets posted midday, and I can't see the next episode until midday the following day, and I can't. You get what I'm saying? So are they locking when I can see it, or is it I can just binge?
My guess would be that you can just binge, because if people have the cards out and they're spending the money, would you want to prevent any sort of barrier to purchase? You'd probably, whilst they're on a run, just want to keep them going and putting money into the slot machine essentially.
Yeah. And so tell me, what's the storyline with that thing that we just saw?
I believe so. That was a clip from How to Tame a Silver Fox, and I believe the premise there is a young woman begins some sort of furtive romance with her father's grumpy best friend, and that's the premise.
Well, that's going to work, I suppose.
I think it is. It's crazy to think, is this, with you just having seen what we've just seen, and apologies for showing it to you, but do you see the format ever evolving beyond this sort of like pseudo-pornographic kind of romance type thing, or do you think it's reached final form?
Well, I don't know. I mean, do you end up having the pubic wars, as happened? Yeah, as happened with magazines. When men's magazines came out, and of course there was literally the pubic wars. So how much do we show? And then over time, more and more and more was shown, until pubes were finally shown, and then we've got to the point where we are right now. So, which of course is AI. So your AI girlfriend, Freddie. Which is, where we are right now. Subscription models for AI pornographic girlfriends. I mean, God, what is that doing to minds? Not just young minds, all minds. It's just yuck. Anyway, so that's the thing I can see happening, in that it gets it goes down a slippery slope of, it becomes less and less quality. If you could call that quality. I'm not sure.
Yes, from our current
worse.
High point.
Yeah. It just gets worse.
It's an interesting
Current high
thing.
point.
You posit there, though, that advertising as a business model is almost like our last defense against just every media channel sort of turning into smut. Because if you're an energy company, you don't want to advertise alongside, something that's not family friendly. And if not for, ex advertiser saying to, channel whatever, hey, don't put my ad next to that, in the competition, a la the pubic wars, things would be just getting more, not just graphic or sexual, but, violent and rage-baity. So maybe there is an argument here for advertising as a doorstop to just complete carnage on screen.
You're making me think. Okay, so let's go back to the pubic wars because it's fun to talk about. I mean, who advertised? So it was Penthouse versus Playboy, and it was every month editions would come out, and it was who was more daring, with regard to the pictorial. So I'm just wondering, who were the advertisers? Cigarette brands would have been the advertisers.
That was my sort of guess. Maybe some cigarette. Was there any alcohol?
Maybe, yeah, you would think so. But then at some point, surely, a boss, the person in charge of the money has just gone to those that are fighting their pubic wars. They said, listen, we're not going to advertise with you anymore. That must have been a dynamic, which I don't think I've actually ever read about. I have read about the pubic wars, but I haven't read about the advertiser involvement in the pubic wars because they would have been supporting it, you would imagine. Although people were quite happy to pay probably overs in order to get the magazine.
You're right. There would have been an existing subscription service sort of business model existing already. So, yeah, maybe they didn't rely on advertising as much as they would when people began to sort of expect things for free or the internet was born.
And as people were watching, society get more daring by the month, you're probably happy to pay overs for the product.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Shifting along, Russ, to another corner of the media and marketing world. So I wanted to show you this campaign by Nike. So they've launched a new campaign called Why Do It? So that's, of course, in reference to Just Do It, their infamous tagline. But they're not replacing the tagline. They're just reframing it for what they're calling the hesitant generation. Let's take a look.
Why do it? Why would you make it harder on yourself? Why chance it? Why put it on the line? With so much at stake, with so much room to fail, why risk it? Why would you dare? Seriously, why? You could give everything you have and still lose. But my question is, what if you don't?
Okay. Explain to me the hesitant generation.
So I think what it takes to understand this campaign, I guess, is thinking about Nike contextually. So as we know, for the past year, they've been sort of upping the ante creatively with this. Think back to that campaign, Am I a Bad Person?, in which Willem Dafoe sort of narrated an athlete's inner monologue about sort of how psychotic they almost are as, a very competitive person. Meanwhile, Adidas last year switched its iconic "Impossible is Nothing" tagline to "You Got This," sort of a softer, more inclusive strategy. And as we know, Nike has had sort of a bit of a rocky few years after over-indexing on, direct-to-customer and sort of lower funnel performance marketing strategies, and they've seen sort of the erosion of their cultural brand dominance. So I think what we're seeing here maybe is Nike almost walking back a little bit its intensity, its antagonistic positioning in order to hopefully connect or gain a greater connection with what they're seeing as this hesitant generation, which are your Gen Z consumers who probably at this stage are opting for more of your Adidas and their "You Got This" position, or we've seen On, go soft, win anyway. These softer, sort of more inclusive definitions of what success looks like in an athletic arena. So I guess the question here is Nike right to sort of correct the ship, from their perspective, and to go after a softer, more purpose-driven position in order to win over younger audiences?
Well, I'm fascinated by the cultural truth that they believe that. So let's assume that it is a cultural truth, right? I.e., I'm not even going to try because I may not win, right? So I'm hesitant even to go to the start line and run in a running race. I'm hesitant because why? The world is full of winners. I only see winners on my feed. It's only winners that are celebrated. It's only winners that are going to get themselves in a financially unbelievably secure place in the world at the age of 25. So I'm very hesitant to play the game in any way, shape or form because I'm continuously surrounded by what winning looks like. We know, my mind went immediately to the dance floor. There's a certain obsession today, but we do know that young people aren't going to the nightclub and they're not getting on the D floor. They're hesitant to do that. And they're hesitant to do that for a couple of reasons. They've seen what good looks like and they're worried about whether they look good. And they're hesitant because someone might film them. And as a result, they may not look good to the wider world. This is a tragedy. It's a tragedy. So I'm really excited. If Nike can use their weight, their financial weight, their creative weight, in order to say to this hesitant generation, you know what? Okay, so the films that you see, not everyone looks like that. Not everyone is going to get a $20 million contract first year out of college, for their football side. So just stop hesitating and get on with it. I really, really love it. So I think that they've done, and my reaction to that commercial is that there's enough weight of information. This is tragic, Freddie. There's enough weight of information that an entire generation is hesitant about life. And they've decided to play a role, and they've decided to say, you may not, if you decide to compete, you actually might even win, right? Which is just grouse. Get on the line, and when the gun goes off, start running. And okay, you may not win, but stop hesitating. Stop not even turning up to the stadium before even getting on the line. So So I'm saddened by the cultural truth need, but buoyed by Nike deciding to take it on.
I'm also appreciative of the fact that recognizing, I guess, the cultural truth, as you put it, the fact that there is a hesitant generation. I'm sure they're probably was a discussion, just how far it went. I don't think it would have gone very far. But they might have thought about or considered abandoning Just Do It as a philosophy. And they said, no, we are going to educate take them on a journey as to its value as an ethos and its relevance to them as a generation. So I admire almost the restraint nowadays comparing to other companies and brands who change their taglines willy-nilly, the commitment to that brand asset and saying, you know what, we are going to change it over time, but that looks like re-educating people from a new point so they can find Just Do It over the years. It's really cool, actually.
Oh, I love it. Do you know what? It makes me I want for an ad where the hesitant generation are just screaming down the barrel of the camera. I don't even know who it's for. I don't know what brand it would be associated with, but I feel like there's a need for a genuine articulation of this hesitancy. Where's it come from? But again, do it in the brand context, because the beautiful thing about brand advertising is you can get across a cultural truth in 60 seconds or less and beat people up with the point of view, and as a result maybe shift things. We spoke earlier about my desire to make a TV documentary show around how hard it is to be 30. Really, what I should be pursuing is a commercial, right? 60 seconds. Forget about it being 2 1 hour documentary, 2-part doco. What we wanted to do, The Inconvenient Truth. Remember that film?
Yeah, the Al Gore documentary about climate change.
Yeah, so basically just use that as the model. Yeah, so the Al Gore Inconvenient Truth model, and then use that as the model for how hard it is to be 30. We wanted to call it Being 30. And then I read somewhere, I'm sure you'd be aware of this, Freddie, but horror movies are the most successful when it comes to box office and profitability. Because, you and I we could make a horror movie in a room, right? It's like they're very cheap to make, and they can be highly profitable. So that, okay, this is good news. So I'm not going to call it Being 30. I'm going to call it The Horror of 30. Right? Not a bad idea, eh?
Not. Can I put a proposition to you, Russ? What if we made a microdrama about the horrors of being 30?
I know. So the only problem with microdrama is my ego can't cope with the idea of just that little moment. Is
It needs to refread. You can't do micro anything.
I can't do micro anything, mate. That's good. Oh, Freddie. What else are we doing? Is there anything else? I think there is, isn't there?
Yeah. I wanted to ask you a quick take on. So, if you've heard of something called propranolol, I don't know if I'm saying, or is it propranolol? A very difficult to name drug, but it's a beta blocker. And you may have heard of beta blockers.
I've heard of those.
Yeah, the first time I heard of it was Robert Downey Jr. Last year at the Golden Globes. There's a clip of him coming out to give a speech, and he says something to the effect of, I've just taken a beta blocker, so this should be a breeze. And then the year after, we saw other actors on the red carpet. I think it was Rachel Sennett, as reported by the Wall Street Journal, saying, take that beta blocker, girl, swallow it down and lock in. Like, that was another clip that went viral. And now we have all these, it's particularly women that it's kicking off with, apparently. Sort of female podcasters really starting to talk quite openly about the use of beta blockers. And essentially, it's just, you take it, it's not addictive, apparently. This is not me advocating for the drug at all. But, the advocates, they talk about how it's not addictive. It's relatively safe if you don't have any pre-existing health conditions. I mean, it's safe enough to the point that you can get an online prescription.
Okay.
And
so have you bought some?
No, not yet. I guess I wanted to...
So why?
It makes you less nervous. Its current use case seems to be people before they give a presentation at work, or before their wedding, or before some sort of event, or even just like a party or a dinner party they go to, where it's something where they might feel anxiety. They're popping one of these things and then having sort of a calmer time. So I guess I put it to you, Russ, how does this sit with you that we're now reaching this point?
Well, there's pills for everything, isn't there, really? So I'm sort of into the notion of a mashup here because my expectation around this drug, what propranolol, propranolol, whatever, right? It would reduce one's hesitation.
That's right.
So there's a mashup here. There's a Nike mashup. So Nike and propranolol, they can do a mashup for the hesitant generation because the hesitant generation, they would expect a pill for everything, right? It's like, here, take this and be a winner. Just do it. And, and it could be, you can push the drug on them just by simply saying, here it is, here's your propranolol, just do it. And as a result, you're going to be less hesitant. As a result, you're going to get to that start line and you're going to be quite happy when the gun goes off. You're going to run your best and maybe even win. So there we go. That's good thinking right there, Freddie.
That's a new vertical for Nike. Beta blockers.
Beta blockers, right? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I like taking pills. This is one of the things we just discussed on the radio this morning. Sunday night, pill night for me. Sunday night, well, I've got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. You're in bed at 8 o'clock. And, you've got to make sure you've got your sleep on a Sunday night. And so I don't mind confessing that on a Sunday night, I pop a pill. I do.
You got to get down. You've just joined sort of a new movement that I'm noticing, though, Russ. Let's call it. I'll say you're a celebrity for this, but celebrities are now becoming very open about, I guess, let's call it their interventions, and this is ranging from pills, as we've just discussed, to talking about like their cosmetic procedures, their breast procedures and their facelifts and whatnot. People all over my Instagram are talking about their hair transplants. There's something interesting going on where it's almost the complete disillusion of any sort of like taboo or this, we're dropping the pretense that someone should do something naturally almost.
Okay, so maybe this is to do with Instagram following equals media, right? So as in you personally become a media. As a media, I'm only going to be of value to an advertiser if I'm authentic. And as a result, I sort of double down on authenticity. So that there is when the brand gets involved with me, the Instagram, with all my reach, there isn't any speculation around they've done it for the money. No. They're very authentic about this particular, blah. Maybe that's the core driver. The core driver, in the end, the driver's going to be money, yeah? Maybe that's the core driver of the changing culture. Maybe.
I think so. It's a fair point. Authenticity as a de-risking procedure, almost sort of almost a protection against cancellation. Maybe we can throw that in there as well. How many sort of celebrities have been exposed for, let's call it steroid usage or, having gotten surgery, to lift those crow's feet. This as a way, like just being open and upfront about it as a way of protecting yourself against cancellation and controlling the narrative. Maybe there's something like that there as well.
Yeah, I tell you, you reminded me of something I did want to say at the top of the show. Sydney Sweeney. So there's this conversation I read, certainly in Australian media. It wasn't very, this failed Sydney Sweeney campaign. Utter nonsense. The share price went up. Sales have gone up. No one's spoken about American Eagle for a generation. So where does this idea that it didn't work come from? What, because there was some online criticism? I mean, that means naught. What matters is you're advertising to sell. That's it. And the advertising sold.
And maybe you're right. We can sort of attach this whole, I guess, authenticity thing then to the thing we're learning sort of as a marketing community is that our opinions and maybe our pearl clutching has less of a bearance on how something performs than we think it does. If marketers are somewhat liberal, as in, left-leaning as a community, maybe this is all just part of us learning that we are not the target market.
Okay, so let's simplify things. Let's just make it really easy. So fame sells. That's it. Right? Fame has always sold. It's always been the case. It was, let's not forget this ever, Freddie. It was advertising people in 2015, 16 who said Donald Trump will win. It's not a political statement. It's because they understand the role of brand and they understand the role of fame. It's right. So, your political journos can get all anxious around it, but no, it is about brand and it is about fame. So I was very pleased to read the facts around the Sydney Sweeney campaign. The facts being, that was a huge success and will continue to be so.
Impressive. I think I saw some things there. I mean, we know the stock prices were good, but I believe you're right. In quarterly earnings or whatnot, in-store visitations up.
Yeah.
And probably what helped thing as well is, what's his name? Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift's fiance, had a follow-up sponsorship just a few weeks later.
Great.
It seems to be working well for them. So I guess, yes, the takeaway is, as has always been the case, fame wins.
Freddie, before we go, did anyone email us with an ad or an argument that there is, in fact, a better, jokes per second, I think was what we went for. Yeah.
That is right, yes. Something to beat Blackcurrant Tango. We received lots of submissions and many wonderful submissions. Hard, though, to show on a podcast. So what I have actually brought with me today is a submission from dear listener Justin, and this commercial for Value City Furniture.
I love this new couch from Value City Furniture. So stylish.
Really puts the old furniture to shame.
Yeah, suddenly the coffee table looks
You're right. I can't even look at it without...
Oh.
All we can do is make getting great style easy. The rest is up to you. Value City Furniture. Style comes easy.
It's not bad, but it's not better than the blackcurrant or what was it? The chocolate, the dark chocolate.
Bourneville, yeah.
Bourneville. Thanks, Justin's a regular listener. He loves admission, so we really appreciate that very much. But no, Justin, you're wrong. Good to see you, Freddie.
See you, Russ.
Thanks for listening. You can subscribe to Admission wherever you get your podcasts.
And follow us on Instagram at Admission Podcast. You can send us a message, an ad, an idea, anything you reckon we should talk about.
You can also follow me, Russell Howcroft, on X or LinkedIn. And of course, you can hear me on 3AW Breakfast every morning with the inimitable Ross Stevenson. Chat to you next week, Freddie.
See you, Russ.